Hello, Miss McGarvey here to introduce the Pinch Pot Animal Unit. You'll be making 2 Pinch Pot animals. The first one is your choice. The second one has either competition or mutualism or a predation relationship with your first animal. I'll explain more about that later. As these next slides show, your pinch pot can be up, or you can have it be down, or you might have it be sideways. Now let's see how all of this will come together. You'll get 2 amounts of clay. Now one is for your pinch pot, and one's for the different parts you need to add for your animal. When you start your pinch pot, you start by making a sphere, and then you put your thumb right down into the middle. And you don't want to go all the way through, but you go pretty far. And then you start to pinch as you turn. Now see, my fingers are going all the way down to the bottom. You want to be pinching down in the bottom area as you're turning. And then you start to pinch into the middle area. And then you move up and start to pinch up into the top. Now we don't want to have parts that are really heavy and thick. That's why we pinch down in the bottom first, so we can have the bottom not be too fat and thick. But you also want to get it, you don't want to keep going and make it too thin. So I think a good thing to do is to get it about as thick as your finger. And you can put it down and also do some turning and get it even all the way around. Make sure you stop here and follow these instructions. It's so you can get clay from Mrs. McGarvey. Really, it's so you'll remember all of these steps later. What I'm going to do is now talk about adding on extra features to turn your pinch pot into an animal. So you'll have additional clay, and I'm thinking of a bear. So I take off an amount that I need for a bear head, and I can just think about the shape of a bear. When you're planning your animal, you can look up some photographs to help you draw it so you can think about the shape of things. And I'm basically just sculpting. I'm planning out the nose area and where I want to have some eyes and some ears. Okay. And I'm going to have mine be attached up to the top and have it be open on the top. So I go ahead and think of my little paws that I want and sculpt those. Something else that's really quick to show is instead of sculpting out, there's another way you can do a face. This might work for ears or what the different things you need for your animal are. So I've made what's called a slab, and just basically a little pancake. And you can draw with a toothpick. Think of my round ears. Think of my little bear face. And I drew the shape, and now I go around pushing all the way through and cut out the bear face. And like I said, later when the clay is hardened up, because you let it sit out a bit, another time, another art session, then you can go in and draw and push in the eyes and the nose and all that. And that could be attached to the pot as a face or sculpted out. When you attach onto your pinch pot, if you just stick it on and push a bit, that might seem fine and that might stay on for a while. But when this clay starts to dry up, it's going to shrink a bit. And if you don't attach it a certain way, you'll come back and find it just popped off. So this is real important to make sure that your pieces stay attached. What you do is called score and slip and smooth. So all you really need is a toothpick for this. I've even seen people use their fingernails. But the score part is to rough up the clay a bit. And what you do is both parts that you're attaching, you just draw in a bit, go a couple ways, and you're roughing up the surfaces. And that is score. And then you take this gunk, it's not really gunk, it's called slip. All it is clay that's had some water mixed in, just really squished together. This is the slip. I think it's got called that because it's really slippery. And you put slip on both pieces that you're attaching. And what happens is it's kind of like, the scoring is like Velcro, or you can think of it kind of like zipper, the pieces of a zipper. And those little grooves are going to all go into each other. And then the slip is the glue. And this will allow all the pieces to stay together. Now I've got all that gunk on my finger. I'm going to clean that off. The last step is to smooth. So you're going to want to have your fingers down under all of this so you're not pushing in your pinch pot. But you take your, just your finger, or you might use a special wood tool, and you just smooth the clay down into each other. And what you're doing is you're hiding the seam right there as well as helping the clay pieces to really connect. Okay, so, and here's another seam right here. I'm just going to use my hand to smooth and cover that.
Make sure to pause here and take notes, draw pictures about what these 3 S words mean. It's super, super important to follow each of those 3 steps when you're attaching clay pieces together.
Okay, so I've attached the paws and I attached on a little tail and washed up my hands. Now we're going to have a bucket, and I need you to use the bucket to get the clay off your hands. And before you use the sink at all, we don't want to put clay down the sink and clog up the pipes. That would not make our custodian happy. So before you actually come to the first art class with our clay, you will use the back of your worksheet to draw up some plans. And so when you are doing that, you just need to, you can look up some photographs, but you just need to come up with a plan. So remember, you can plan to have your pot upside down, and you would just draw an upside down U and draw the bottom. And then you can think through what you want to do, like if this is going to be a giraffe, kind of think about what you want to do for the shape of the head. And if you'd like maybe the legs a little bit longer to attach to the bottom, or if you want them maybe shorter, you just need to think through some things. And then if you look at a photograph, you'll see that the giraffes have kind of a little bit of a skinny tail. You don't ever want to be too skinny though. If I made a little tail for a pinch pot animal and I made it like this, okay, and if you're planning on an animal with the pinch pot open on the side, you just draw a circle. You can draw in another circle to show the top, and then you just put in the side, and then you plan out, if you're going to have a tongue sticking out, you plan that, And you plan out where you want the eyes, what shape you want to attach for the eyes. And like if this were, I guess if this were a puppy dog or something, you'd plan out how to add in a nose, whatever. So you just have to have a plan. Just even think about, if you want to have some feet sticking out. So think through that. If you're planning to do it open on the top, you just draw an oval and then a U, and then you can plan if this is going to be a turtle, plan where you're going to place the different parts. And you just need to show your plan and show your notes from the video to get your clay. When your pinch pot animal is done, now remember, as far as drawing in patterns or putting in eyes, drawing in different details, I'm going to have you do that the second time. The second time you come, the second time when you make your second pinch pot, you can have your first one sitting out and hardening up. And after a while, it's a lot easier to carve into it when it's hardened up a little bit. But you definitely want to keep it soft in the meantime. So you'll put it in a bag. And I forgot something super important. My goodness. You've got to write your name on the bottom. So you just use a toothpick and write your name. You don't press very hard. Make sure it's readable and put in your class code, whatever that might be. Okay, and then it goes into a bag all sealed up so that you can continue to do some work on it the next time. And that's it for now.